Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. I hope you guys are all doing well wherever you are. As you can see on my screen, I've got a special guest, Karen Willis. She's been with me a couple of times. She's the author of this huge book, and you can see all my tabs. And the book is called Awaken Memories of the Soul, 24 Past Memories with Jesus. Now, I got to tell you guys, I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium. This is Karen Willis, and she is you're a QHHT hypnotist, regression therapist.
Yeah.
Right. And we're not Jesus freaks, although I'd say we're fans. But this came about because of your work, right? I mean, you weren't looking for it. You weren't like, let me just, the thing I love about Karen is she's truly like, just ready to experience, right? Like, what is going to happen today? And I think that is one of the best ways to go through life. And her clients, she just noticed that as she was regressing her clients, more and more of them had lifetimes with Jesus. And she said, this is weird, right? Like, this is not normal. And she ended up getting the message that she was supposed to put all of those clients' memories and all of their, the ones that agreed to it, of course, all of their communications during their hypnosis in this book. So, how are you, Karen? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Also, I had a personal experience with Yeshua, and that's in the first section of it, describing. And I think it's because of the energy that I had a lifetime with Yeshua that those clients came to as well. Plus, I was supposed to write the book, they said. So, right?
You guys, if it's your soul contract, you're not really going to get out of it. I mean, it's going to come in some fashion, And when it was time, and you had a whole nother career. Here's the thing, you guys, just like her, I had a whole nother career. She had a whole nother career, a long career. And then you became this QHHT. We should talk just a little bit about, so a QHHT is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And it's specific thing that was designed by Dolores Cannon, and you are a certified hypnotherapist in that, registered in that type of modality, and you do offer them. And somebody in the chat said, hey, I had a great session with Karen like a year ago, so that's pretty cool. You've got Tom said that. And so Karen does these in person. Let's just get this out of the way so people, and if I have any moderators, please remind people. I do have moderators. Thank you, Gina, and moderators. Karen only does this in person, so you would have to be near her. And she's on the East Coast in the greater, where? North of Baltimore
area. Yeah, but it's northern Maryland. So I'm close to Philly, not too far. I have had people from New York. I had somebody come from Canada. So they come from all over. I don't know.
I mean, I hope to do it. I hope to fly up there and have a session with her. But tonight we're going to just take your questions. We're going to talk about whatever questions you have. And I think Karen is the best person to talk about this stuff because she's kind of doing the work, right? So she's regressing these folks and then seeing what they're experiencing. And just before we went live, she was saying that some of the people, they had questions like, what am I supposed to be doing here? Like you and I both probably are like, why are we here? You know what I mean? Why did I incarnate of all times? Why did I incarnate now? So you were saying a few of your clients have asked that question. And do you mind sharing what are some of the answers they got? Or am I off in that?
No, they asked, why is it happening? And basically it is a lesson for all of us and that we needed to go through that. But they all have a positive ending to it. And I was researching some things for a book. That's another story. And I found this one from 2011 kind of predicted what was going to happen. It was kind of interesting. Yeah.
One of your people that you had talked to? Oh my gosh.
But some of them go into predictions too in the subconscious too. and sometimes on their own in the past life too. So it was very interesting. But we're supposed to go through this. We chose this lifetime. And I remember, I think it was a client said that this would be a difficult time. And I didn't know what they meant at the time, but this is, yeah, we volunteered to come at a difficult time, basically. Yeah.
Now
And
you
to bring
said
our light,
to do what?
to bring our light, to shine
To
the
bring
light.
our light.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, we have light, whether you're sitting at home eating popcorn, watching a movie. I mean, you're just emanating the light you brought with you, the light you incarnated with. It's not like you have to go, work out your light. I mean, you came with this light. So, hey, Kevin's Loving Vibrations here. Good to see you. I want to ask you a question. You said did you say predictive consciousness?
No, they do predictions
Okay.
while they're in a state of hypnosis. Okay. Yeah. And I can't remember if she was in the subconscious or just predicting. I don't know. Because I get a lot of psychics that come, or people who don't know they're psychic sometimes. So it's very interesting. Some people don't want to admit it. So, or just not sure, or just think it's natural, right? So, I'm sure you get that too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't admit it for most of my life. I mean, when you tell somebody they're psychic, they don't believe you, right? Like they don't. Not me, I'm not special or whatever the thing is, right? So what is a common thing when you regress people back or just your recent clients? What are some things that they've been experiencing?
A lot.
Uh-oh.
I've had people in World War II, World War I. I recently had someone who was in Hiroshima, who was a nurse. Yeah. And she was helping people and didn't know what was going on, but then the bombs came and she saw the light. So yeah, it was kind of hard. I've had quite a few in the Holocaust. I've had Nazis, yeah, who most of the time they didn't really want to be there. Mm-hmm. But the most interesting story, is it okay to say, talk about, was a person that had claustrophobia, okay? And he wanted me to do traditional hypnotherapy because he said his mother put him in closets and things like that. Oh. Well, come to find out, it was a past life. He was in a submarine and, of course, torpedoed. But he was a Nazi who was going to change the course of the war.
You've talked about him before.
What happened?
On my channel. And he died. He didn't get to fulfill his destiny?
No. It was very interesting, isn't it? So
fascinating.
So he was able to release claustrophobia because he had to go in the MRI thing with the noise and everything. So he was able to do that.
He was able to do that. My question is, because you've done this in your book too. So like in your book, you came across people who were maybe not directly responsible for putting Jesus on the cross, but were part of that. And now you're saying that you've met people, just regular old people like me, regressed them and found out they were Nazis. How does that person handle that? Like, how do you make peace with that?
They learn from that, okay? They learn to not listen to authority, okay? And to be your own person, and, they learned from it. And most of them didn't want to be there. They were just following orders, But then there was guilt. So we need to release forgiveness for self, okay? A lot of times for that. Just like I've had murderers too. They had to forgive themselves. They've murdered somebody,
So and just forgive me. Yes. Okay. All right. I mean, maybe I'm just getting hung up here, but okay. Let's say I'm like do, and I get my reading. You know, I go into the subconscious with you, and I'm Susan, and then I come out the other side, and I'm like, dang, I'm murdering some people. I mean, that's going to take me a minute, like to be like, whoa, okay, let me sit down for a second. So, how does your conscious when you're like on the other side of your session? I'm sure some things happen in the session, right? Like
Oh yeah, definitely.
energetically, right? That ease the person so that when they come out of the session, they not only have the awareness, but they have some of the healing or some of the
Oh yes.
uh
Yes, I do the healing work because they have to. I take them to the life review where we review that lifetime. So why did you choose that lifetime? What did you learn from that lifetime? So, and sometimes they made a contract with someone to kill that person. So,
right.
because that person wanted to know what that would feel like or to have that experience. Because we want all the experiences. Do you understand? And I'm not saying I have a whole bunch of murderers. I'm saying most people have.
Thank God.
I have a lot of really spiritually evolved people. Okay. And most of them didn't know their mission, or they did, or they're not fulfilling it. Do you see what I'm saying? And they need confirmation from their higher self that this is what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. So I don't want to concentrate on the negative too much here, but I did want to say there's all kinds of life experiences. Okay. And there are no victims even though, we might set ourselves up in a situation where, somebody would call us a victim. Okay. So it's just like the people in the Holocaust, and sometimes like they might have issues with their stomach or something because of no food or something like that. So sometimes we bring things with us. And I ask the higher self, why do some people bring so much from past lives and some don't? And they said it's up to the soul. So it's a choice again. It's free will.
So
So
you could incarnate in your life and have like blanked your mind of that particular life or that tragedy, right? Like, I mean, you could create like a firewall so
oh
you
yeah,
don't experience it. Or you could say, I want that to bleed over because I want to fix it.
right.
I want to experience it in this life so I can finally like just deal with it and let it go. Does
Right,
that make
right.
sense?
And they won't give you anything that you cannot handle. Okay. Because I had many tragic lifetimes of murdering me and stuff like, and that's why I tell people I'm still here. I'm okay. But I made those choices. Do you see,
Wow.
to have that experience? And it gave me compassion and understanding for others in similar situations. So just
Wow.
like in this life, people who, let's say someone who was raped can have compassion for someone that is raped in this life too. Well, it happens in past lives too. So, you can either choose compassion or choose the opposite. We have that choice. So, and I have had a lot of people in lifetimes as American Indians, as Egyptians, ETs, from other planets. Yep.
I had an ET life. Not that I got this from Karen. I still really want to have a reading with Karen, but I had a reading where I was an ET, and the interesting thing about it was that even as an ET, I was having the same life lesson that I am in this life. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, it really knocked me for a loop because I thought, wow, I'm an ET and I was on a ship and I was doing these things and literally the same life lesson that I was experiencing right then in my life. And let me talk about when I talk about bringing it home. It really was like, wow, do I really want to take this lesson with me for another lifetime, or do I want to try to work really hard to release it in this lifetime? And that's why
Mm-hmm.
this is so important. That's why I haven't either a past life regression session with someone who's really good, and Karen and I have talked a lot about this because we don't want you to have a past life regression session where they just leave you there and they don't help you heal from it. So you want to make sure that whoever you work with completes the whole cycle and gives you the healing and the release of it. Otherwise, it's really a burden, because that's what happened to me. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to fix this. Like, I know that it's there and it's here, but I don't know how to fix the pattern.
I had my first past life in the 80s, and the therapist did something different than I would ever do. He took me fast forward to all these lifetimes in one session, which was too much. You know, it was mind-boggling. And he didn't finish it. So I had to work on them, and it took years because I had public speaking issues. I had fear of drowning. I drowned 3 times. So, So I had to work on my own with that. And it took years to do that, you know? So I tell people, and also make sure that they record the session. I have a lot of people I ask them, did they record the session? They go, no. And I'm like, oh yeah, they need to record it because they need to listen to it. And there's more healing and understanding that come from that. Okay. So it's really a beautiful thing to kind of understand why you do certain things or have some phobias or, you know, or even physical issues sometimes are related to past life. So I also release those sometimes from past lives. We have physical issues. So, you know, you can release a lot of stuff, not just, you know, forgiveness of self, emotional issues, anything.
Health.
Relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a transformation, you guys. So I'm gonna go through some questions that people have for us. And I want to say hey to Kevin's. The healing medium is here as well.
Hi,
And he's got a question. He says, curious if you are working in the Akashic records as well. Do you feel like you're working in the Akashic?
At times people can go there. I also do life between life where you go in between lives. And yes, I take them to the Akashic records. I had a woman that just went to the Akashic records. So if they're supposed to go to the Akashic records, they'll go there. That's the way I look at it. The Akashic records are very interesting. Most people do see it as a library with books or scrolls. I think that's the way we perceive it for our symbol. I had one where it was just etheric, you know, and which I think it is. And one that the book, usually there's a book, and the book moved like a movie.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And there's always usually a keeper of the book, but I still think that's our symbol. I don't know. Have you been to the Akashic records?
Yes. And I mean, I think you're right. It's like humans have to make things make sense for them. Right. And that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's like when you see your spirit guide and they look like a wizard, you know what I mean? Whatever. Yeah. Whatever makes sense for you. If a ball of light makes sense, that's how you're going to see it. And that's just important for the human to be able to absorb the information and not get caught up, right? They don't want you to get caught up on the details.
No. That's like the spirit world. When we cross over, they want us to feel comfortable. So they'll use our comfort zone to kind of get us to where we feel comfortable.
And it's so surprising, right? Because even though I didn't grow up religious, I because of the icons that I grew up with, just in our society, you'll naturally see things that mimic that kind of, you know, religious framework or whatever. Whatever it is for you, it's just whatever works.
But I did have someone who once said, just a minute, and I think they went to the Akashic records when I was asking a question.
They're like, hold on, I have to go look something up.
I thought that was so interesting. So, but I'm sure that a lot of psychics and everything, I know Edgar Cayce went to the Akashic records, so that's where everything is. But I think it's already in us. I think it's already there. I think
it's very,
yeah. It's because the subconscious actually gets the same information.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sabine wants to know, when we plan and come to Earth, can we choose any time in human history?
Yes. We choose the date, the time, our bodies. If we want to choose our bodies, if we don't care, that's all right. Parents, yeah, family, soul group, whatever. Yeah.
Where, like, what part of the world you live in, the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story. I was in the Holocaust the last lifetime as a child, 5-year-old.
Oh, oh,
Now listen, it's okay.
okay.
This was early in the war, which I found out later because I didn't know anything about this. But they put us in a building, and of course they threw fire in there. Okay, so this is what I'm going to tell people to make sure they go to somebody that knows what they're doing. So, my first experience with the person I was telling you in the 80s told me I was a victim. Okay. Well, when I went to the council in Between Lives, they said I volunteered to go to show them the way home because they would follow a child.
Oh my gosh.
I can't make that up.
Wow.
See, I'm getting chills again.
Gosh,
So
yeah.
I think that gave me comfort for 9/11 because there is a soul that helps them go, right? Any mass killings or anything like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, but see the difference? So there is no victims. And I always thought I was a victim, because he told me I was a victim.
Right.
But we choose our lifetimes. We choose to come back and we choose to volunteer. And there are volunteers coming from other planets too, as well. And all of us, all of the light workers chose to come to volunteer here, I'm sure, because they knew what was going to happen, even though we didn't know.
I'm sure we knew in our life between lives. So what she's saying is there's this period of time between your incarnations where you're planning. You're actually planning that life, and I think the way I see it is I'm saying, okay, I've had these lifetimes, I've learned these things, I've experienced these things. I still need to experience these things. Or, I had these lessons and I didn't quite get it. So I want to repeat it again so that I can kind of try to get it better. Is that how you see it happening?
Yes. Yes. And you won't get it right if you keep doing the same thing. You keep coming back until you do. It's just like somebody that keeps marrying somebody that's not good for them, and they keep doing it. We keep doing it in past lives. Also, I found that they also show us that we need to be in balance. Like someone is too powerful one lifetime and abuses that power. In another lifetime, they're powerless. So we have to balance that. And they do that a lot. Or one lifetime, they're extremely wealthy and unhappy. And next life, they're poor and happy. Or they could be not happy too. But most of the time, it seems that way. But it's always showing whenever I ask the purpose can change. Our purpose can change too. But it is to love and be one with each other. Oneness, that always comes up. Yeah.
Now, are we supposed to love those people that are, trying to hurt us?
Mm-hmm. That's the hard one. That's where we learn compassion.
I failed. So I'm going to have to get a redo. I'm going to have to get some kind of like,
Well, you don't, the thing is, you don't have, it's like forgiveness. You don't have to, like if somebody does something horrible to you, it is horrible. But you need to forgive for yourself to set yourself free.
Right. Yes.
Because they're still controlling you. So even the negative, they're controlling you, right?
You're right. You're
they're
right. You're right.
Your
That's
emotions and making you ill, that kind of thing.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Oh my God, you're right. It's not about loving them for, just being the bigger person. They're controlling me if they're making me mad or they're making me hate them or they're making me feel like a victim. Then I'm not in control, right? Once I'm in control, I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you could actually see them as, oh boy, they're a really sad sack of human. You know what I mean? Like you can have compassion, actually.
Well, you can look at them as a child
Yes.
spiritually. And
Yeah.
that's what you have to have compassion. And maybe you were a child spiritually too at one point. Who knows? You know, I mean, we can't judge. That's why we can't judge. Right.
It's fascinating.
So,
So
yeah, forgiveness will set you free because it's a very heavy weight. Because I had the lifetime with Jesus and I felt guilty that I couldn't help him and I had to get rid of that guilt. And that was really something. So it's like all the weights. We carry this baggage with us. Yeah.
in your life with Jesus, you felt like you should have helped him and you didn't. You chose not to, or you couldn't.
I couldn't. I mean,
you were powerless to help him.
I was powerless. Yeah. 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 And I don't know why, but I felt that guilt and I was crying. It was something. It was like.
And do you feel like once you healed that, that's when he came to you to write the book?
No, that took many years because I was teaching then for 15 years. And then the first client came in 2011. And then after that, there was a few years and then more kept coming and more kept coming. And
but do you feel like you had worked through that guilt around Jesus before you wrote the book?
Oh yeah.
Because that's what
I was in training actually. So,
okay.
Which was interesting because the person was training with me, you know, like she was the therapist in training and I was the client, right?
Oh, okay, okay.
So that was kind of interesting. And so, but we had a seasoned therapist with us, past life therapist. And so what he did, and it helped me in this life with people with forgiveness, I couldn't forgive myself. And he said, if Jesus was there, what would he say? And it lifted.
And it just dissolved, right? Like, because you knew the answer.
Yeah, I knew the answer. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, there's so many things. I mean, I've done almost 20 years. It's just amazing what, you know, I don't know everything, but there's so much we don't know. Right.
That's what I'm saying. I love your attitude because you're like, every day you're like, what amazing thing am I going to be exposed to or learn today, which I think is beautiful. Carol says, how does that work after someone dies? How long before they might choose another person? I mean, does that mean choose another life?
Choose another life? Is that what you mean?
I think so.
It can be like real soon, or it can be thousands of years. It's up to the soul, hundreds of years, 50 years. I mean, I've had people that came back, you know, in the 60s. Of course, they're younger than me, and 40s and 30s. But then I've had thousands of years, you know. So I've got to do that. So
interesting.
It just depends on you when you want to come back. Now, a lot of people are like, do I really want to come back?
I would imagine so.
And then something inside them tells them yes. So
something inside them.
Their inner soul. And then sometimes people say, why would I choose this life? And I'm like, because when you're a soul or the true essence of you, you're all knowing. Oh my gosh, sorry. This is not okay. Good. So it's interesting.
You're all knowing. You're all knowing.
And you're all knowing. And you just say,
it doesn't seem like that's a big deal. You're like,
it's no big deal. I can do this, right?
Yeah. Because and then down here without all of that knowledge, and you're like, what is going on? Like, what is happening right now? What is, you know, you don't have any knowledge, right?
So you know, that's what I tell people. You chose a lot to learn in one lifetime. Sometimes we choose a lot.
Sometimes people do, right? You said it one time, they like pile it on to close it out because they're like, this is the last time I'm going to be here. I want to get as much done as I can. Is that true?
Yeah, but that might not be the last time, but yeah. They might clear it out.
They think it's their last time. Do you know when you do a regression if it is your last time, or that's not decided until you actually cross over?
I don't think that's decided. And they don't really, I don't think I've had anybody. I've had people that prepare for the next life, in this life, they're preparing. Or they prepared in a past life for this life. Yeah.
How did they prepare?
Well, it would depend on what their
trying to do
was. Yeah, what they were supposed to do. One was an earth angel. There are earth angels.
Okay, talk about that. Let's talk about earth angels. I know that I've met them, but go ahead and tell us. I'm pretty, I mean,
well, I had this one, I'll never forget, that she said she was standing in the cold area. And I said, do you have a coat on? Or no. I said, wasn't it kind of cold? And she said, I don't feel the cold. And so she was supposed to show, this was like a small village, like Eskimos. And she was supposed to show love and to practice that so she could continue in this life. So
and how was she an earth angel then?
Because she was full of love. It was just love emanating from her.
Okay, I see.
Okay. If you know somebody that just is a happy, loving being and has no negative thoughts and things, that's probably an earth angel.
Right. And they just don't seem to get caught up in the everyday stuff that we all do. Yeah.
No. And they just want to help. Yeah.
To me, they glow. To me, they have a whole energetic thing
well, you
to
can
them.
see it in their eyes probably, and the whole essence of them. And people gravitate to them too.
Yeah, I would imagine. Like to Jesus. I mean, in a sense, it seems like kind of very similar energy. Emily wants to know, how many sessions does it take usually from least to most sessions, please? So like, do most people find that they get everything they need out of one session?
It depends on them. Okay. I usually recommend past life sessions first before the quantum healing, unless you have psychic abilities or have been on your spiritual journey for years and, are ready for it.
Why do you recommend that? Why do you recommend that?
Because it's, I've found that sometimes people aren't really ready for the subconscious,
to learn that they were a Nazi or a murderer, or that takes a lot of something to be able to integrate that.
Right. And, or if they're really young and they haven't had much life experience, because they still have to go through things, so the subconscious isn't going to give as much information unless they're highly spiritual beings.
Oh, so that's also true, right? The subconscious isn't going to tell you something that's going to just wreck your world, because you're still a human with a job. You still need to be here functioning. So your subconscious isn't going to dump a bunch of stuff on you that's not helpful. Right?
No, that you can't handle. Like I said,
that you can't handle.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll say the information is not available to this person.
The information you're seeking is not available at this time. Please call back later.
Or it's not available to humans.
Right. So by doing the past life thing, what you're doing is you're clearing the way. Like you're kind of clearing up a lot of the baggage. Is that how you see it? You're kind of clearing up the stuck energy or the stuck patterns, or you're kind of preparing them in a sense.
Yeah, most of the time. But if they're still not ready, then they usually go to the kind of lifetimes where there's not much releasing. And that's rare, but I've had that. But I think their higher self protects them again. So it's not a lot of tragedies or things like that. Because if you look at our history, it's not really pretty.
Humans, we're warlike. We're really warlike people, honestly.
Yeah. But
So that's
if you go to ancient civilizations, sometimes it's really beautiful stuff coming out too. Yeah.
oh,
So
nice.
yeah. Hmm.
On average, just on average, how often do you come across someone who had an alien life or an alien existence? 1 in 10, 1 in 5, 1 in 50?
See, it's really hard. I've come across quite a few. I thought everybody had a lifetime on another planet, but that's not the case. They told me.
Oh, they
Um,
said that's not the case.
mhm. That some
So
didn't.
can a brand new soul incarnate here on Earth, or is there such a thing as a brand new soul, like newly minted
I'm not
new soul?
sure. I've heard both ways, but I'm not sure. I haven't
Okay.
had any. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did. Okay, I had a ET that came to Earth, and it was very interesting because his body was shaking, and I asked him if he's all right. He said it's too it's too dense down here, and he was saying it's too dense. They didn't tell me about the density here, so he came directly from another planet. So he didn't really have a past life.
I don't think I have that many here myself. I mean, I have some, but I don't have that many. So
I
that's
have quite a
fascinating.
few. I don't know what percentage, but it seemed like they come in. I have themes sometimes where they come. Certain like World War II people come, and then these people come, and ETs
Like
come.
wait, what
Like
happened to the
waves.
Jesus thing? Like you had all
Yeah,
these waves of
yeah,
Jesus
right.
people that had been with Jesus, and you were like, what is going on? And then Yeshua came to you himself and said, write this book. Um, it's fascinating, really, really fascinating. Let's do one or more questions. Okay. Jeff says, I have one good question. I have a grandson that is way too young to know all he does about the Titanic. Can you tell me if a very young grandson Atlas was on it or built it? I mean,
Well, yeah. If you have a very young child that tells you about something that he shouldn't know, he's been there or she's been
yeah,
there.
yeah, it's
Um,
guaranteed,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
guaranteed. I've only had one person on the Titanic, and it was very interesting. She was always cold. So we
Oh,
were able to release that. Yeah, she drowned in the cold water.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's so
So,
nice to have those releases, right? To have
yeah,
that just released.
yeah, because it was, in her being, and she didn't understand why she was always so cold, and yeah, and there was other things she had to release too, but I can't remember everything.
Did you
So,
release did you release that in the quantum healing or in the past life regression?
what I do is I always take them to the life review in the past life, even if they go to the quantum
Oh, so
healing,
it's
because
together. This is a session you do together.
right. This is a quantum
Oh,
healing. So I take them to two past lives, and then we go through the past lives, and then I take them to the life review, where you review that lifetime from a higher perspective. Okay. So we've talked about the life review before. So in the quantum healing, I'll ask them if everything was completed from the past life, life review, and that they always say yes. But I do that just in case they don't go to the subconscious, because I've had people that don't go. It's rare, but I have had some.
what do you mean people who don't go to the subconscious? Describe, what does that mean?
Okay. When after you do the past life, I ask the subconscious to come through. I talk through that. Okay. And some people are blocking, or they're just not ready for it, or I don't know. There's all different reasons, or they're too analytical, that kind of thing.
Well, what would the subconscious be bringing forward?
What would this, what information wise?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, they bring in questions. So any question you've ever had, spiritually, emotionally, physically, relationships, job wise, anything in this life or past lives. So you can, the subconscious can fast forward past lives. Like I'll ask them, well, where did that come from? What was the first lifetime that issue came through, and they'll take her or him through that. Or they'll say it's not necessary sometimes. Yeah.
Do you feel that the subconscious is the same thing as the higher self?
Yes.
Okay,
Or
great.
the super subconscious.
Or the super subconscious.
There are levels of that. And they don't like me to call levels, but I said we're human, so we have to.
At some point, I have to translate it into something we understand.
Right.
So what I tell people, go ahead.
So I'll ask the client, what level are you on? Can we go higher? And sometimes yes, sometimes they're at their level.
You're a rule breaker. I didn't even know that about you, Karen. You're a rule breaker. You're like me. I'm like this little velvet rope. You don't need that.
Yeah, because I want the highest level, because that's where the information is global.
And I love that. I'm like, let's ask a bunch of questions. I don't want to just get, the basic. So when I talk about higher self, you guys, the way I see it is think about a part of you that's always in the control center during all of your lives. So that part of you knows all of your lives and the reasons you came here, the lessons you were going to learn. It's kind of the captain of all of your lives. So that's
it's your true self.
It's your true self, right? Nice. And so sometimes you say, can we go higher? And you get a hall pass to go higher or not, depending. And when you go higher, are you just looking for a higher consciousness of the same question?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is fascinating. I love that.
Because I want the highest level that can be reached. And sometimes they'll go to the collective.
Oh, okay. Wait, now we got to talk about the collective. Okay, now. Say what? Say what? I mean, I know, but I don't I know, but I'm not sure I know all of a sudden. I don't know what just happened.
Okay, the collective.
Is there like a board? I got a board like a collective, like Susan's board, like she got a board.
No, it's like we're one, right? We are all one. So this is the oneness. We're at the level of oneness.
Okay.
Some people call it the collective. It's the oneness.
Okay.
That's why I think most people know the collective. So
why would you go to the collective? What give me an example of where that would come into play?
That's for the higher evolved souls, basically, that give information. Actually, that's the one that told me that I needed to write this book and tell the truth and all that. Yeah.
Oh,
and her voice changed
down from the boss.
Huh? Pardon?
You got the message from the boss. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She was in the collective.
And her voice changed? Drastically. Ooh. And you weren't sure something wasn't going to come out of her like Carrie Fisher or something like that? I mean, what do you do? Get some
garlic because and then sometimes people will say, that's not my voice. And I'm like, it's the higher self.
It's not your voice, honey.
It's like channeling your higher self.
Yeah.
It's basically channeling.
It is. It is.
And you see channelers, they
I know I've done it. I've channeled. My voice doesn't change dramatically, but that would trip me out. That would trip me out for real.
Yeah. But, and spoke in a different language as well. She did.
Oh, and it's different language. But you understood it?
No, I asked them to interpret. Even when people speak in I had one man that spoke in German. And I said, well, you need to interpret, please. I don't speak German.
So they did. They interpreted it for you. Mm-hmm. Or they switched to English.
Yeah, they switched.
So Sherry says, my daughter is an empath and went to Auschwitz last year. As soon as she got off the bus, she was sick to her stomach. The energies were overwhelming to her, but she went through the whole place. I mean, that's being an empath. My God, I can't do that stuff. Like it's very hard on me to go to places like Civil War cemeteries or fields where there's been a lot of death. I could no more go to Auschwitz than the man on the moon. I don't know how I would.
She might have been there too. She might have been.
And on top of that, she probably had.
Yeah, if you're 6 years to me, because I couldn't go to the Holocaust Museum in Israel when I was in Israel. I did go to the one in Washington, but it was hard for me.
I went to the one in Houston. But I don't know if it's the fact that I'm a medium. So like on one hand, all the spirits are talking to me. And then on the other hand, I'm feeling it all. It's like, whew, this is not a good thing.
We really need to listen to our children or grandchildren. My son told me at 3 that he was in China. And at 7, he was in a war. And he told me he chose me to be his mommy at 3 or 4. He looked down from heaven.
Your son did. How interesting.
And he was 3 or 4 years old. So there's some really good books about children. I think one's Carol, and I forgot her name. Children's past lives. And also on YouTube, there's all kinds of stories with children.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and kids don't make this stuff up. You know what I mean? No. And it's actually been researched where they've taken the kid to the location and they've known things about planes or history that they shouldn't have known, like one of our commenters said. It's 100% real, 100% true. Let's see. Max says, in your sessions, if you have had many lifetimes, how do you know it?
When I asked them to, I have them come off a cloud. It's a long story, the deepening part. I'll ask them to go to the most important lifetime for greater understanding and healing. So their higher self will take them there because, and just because we've had violent lifetime doesn't define you as a soul. I tell people, these are the lifetimes you need to review at this time. They might change because we do have themes, because I didn't know that I had healing lifetimes. In the 80s, I was more dealing with survival and killings and stuff like that. So, of course, I was killed as a healer as well. But, so we have different themes, in our lifetimes. So you will be given the lifetime that affects the current life at that moment that you came to me or someone else. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Absolutely. So Trish was asking, are you supposed to be the one telling me what you see, or is it me that should be telling what I see during a session? It's the person, right? The person speaking.
Right. I ask you to come off the cloud and what is happening around you. If you don't tell me, I'll ask you, what are you wearing on your feet? What does it feel like? If you don't see anything. Some people do not see it like a movie like I do or pictures. They have to use that knowing part. So then I will say, what does it feel like on your feet? Those kinds of things. And then where did you live? What was a typical day like? I also ask what kind of foods, because that tells you what time frame and where you are and your house.
And how wealthy you are too. And how wealthy you are, right?
Yeah. Now, some people will just tell me everything, just talk. But most of the time I have to kind of guide them. And then I'll go to...
That's why you want a good person. That's why you want a good person who knows how to ask questions or who thinks what questions to ask, right? Because the more you ask, the more you get.
And I'm very curious. Because if I was sitting in that seat, I would want to know those questions. That's the way I look at it, right? So I say, go to significant events in that lifetime if you don't tell me. And then when I feel it's complete, then I ask, what is it, the soul feels, the soul is coming out of the body. What do you feel? And most of the time they see a light or different colors, or they're greeted by loved ones in that lifetime, whatever. And then they feel a lifting.
This is passing over. So you're saying you stay with them as you pass them over in that lifetime. Correct. So you actually get that experience as well. Right.
And in the past life, I also, after the past life, just the past life session, not the quantum, I take them to this spirit world to meet their angels or guides or loved ones who've crossed over.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. I got to do this. So your sessions are like 3 hours long, 3-4 hours?
Well, the past life is 2 to 3, and the quantum is 3 to 5. I rarely do 5. I don't go past 5. Dolores Cannon said, don't go past 5 hours. But
so,
when
so you're doing them together at the same time. I just want to make sure this is all at the same time. So you're talking like 4 to 5 hours.
for the quantum, yeah.
I mean, are you doing the past life and the quantum all in the same session?
Yeah, that's why it's longer. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
because see, the reason Dolores said to do, well, she did one, I do too, because I want them deep. I want them deep enough to go to the higher self, because you have to be really deep in hypnosis to transition, kind of. Now, some people automatically go there, because I'll ask them, is the subconscious here? And they'll go, yes.
Yes, they are. Yeah. So
or
funny.
yes, they, however they say it. It's very interesting how they say things.
That is fascinating. It is.
I love my work.
It really is fascinating.
I just love it. Every day is interesting.
That's what I love about you. That's what I keep saying is you just show up and you're like an explorer, right?
Yeah.
Like, where are we going to go today and what am I going to learn? Elizabeth wants to know, she didn't realize that you can ask for a higher level. When do you do that?
In the quantum healing, when I ask the subconscious to come through, it's the same thing as higher self. It's just a label,
But you get that to come through, and then when you get those answers, you say, can we go to the next level up, right? And you ask the same questions again, but get it from a different viewpoint. Is that what you're saying?
A higher viewpoint.
A higher viewpoint. But you're asking the same questions. Because that's the questions the client
I ask them to bring their questions.
Right. So you've got the same questions, and you're like, so you can see the same question at different elevations, so to speak, from different viewpoints.
And
that's fascinating to me.
I can tell when they're not there, because what in the higher self, the subconscious, whatever you want to call it, true self, you have no ego, no personality, and no emotion. You know everything. You can't say, I think, because it doesn't think, it knows.
I see.
And I know other ways to tell, which I'm not going to tell.
Trade secrets. Just got trade secrets.
So sometimes the conscious mind will come in because it thinks it's protecting, but it's not. So then I'll say that the higher self needs to come through, and so I'll go through the process to get them back, and usually they come back.
Wow.
But I knew, when I did it, I knew when I was coming out, so I would say, I need to go back in the subconscious.
Oh, you knew you were floating kind of in, out. It's sort of like if you guys think about anesthesia and you're coming out of the anesthesia and they go, whoops, we got to put her back under. Is that kind of a similar understanding of it?
Yeah. But I don't put you in anesthesia.
Right. But I mean, just trying to explain it in a way that the humans can understand it.
Right. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm not sure. We're not moving my questions.
They should be. Thomas says, was I a Missouri Civil War era? I can already just say yes. I'm just telling you what my guides are saying. Was I Missouri Civil War era bushwhacker named Bill Wilson, aka Wild Bill Wilson? I think I was in a past life. He's my great grand uncle.
Well, see, I don't do readings like Susan, but Susan, you said you think he is?
What I answered the question before I finished the whole sentence. I think you were definitely a Missouri Civil War era bushwhacker. I mean, without any hesitation. Are you Bill Wilson? What I feel like is that you have, what are they saying? Components of Bill Wilson or parts of him. You know what I mean? I don't know that you are him because I think you need to live your own life. But I think that you are, he's very entangled, or I don't know how to describe it. Maybe you could just say yes. Maybe get a reading and find out. Like if he got a reading with you, just for instance, would that be something you would be able to tell in the reading?
Well, if they ask for a specific lifetime, I can suggest it, but it's still up to the higher self. If it's not important, they won't probably go there. I don't know. You know, I have asked, because even in the book, I think 1 or 2 people thought they were, psychics had told them they had past lives with Jesus, so they wanted to go there. So what I did first was go to the most significant life, and if they didn't go, then I would ask the next question. But they usually went the first time anyway, so I didn't even have to ask that. So, because sometimes people will come and say the psychic said that I had a lifetime, you know, as such and such, you know, and usually it's true, but sometimes it's not, you know.
I feel like yes, Thomas. I'm just going to go with yes, but I would get that verified, you know, other ways. But
yeah,
as far as I can feel, the answer is yes. And that's pretty fascinating. Let's do a few more
well, sometimes we can come back in the family, but that's not usually the case. But
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's a complicated thing, but I agree with you. Like, I don't think people reincarnate from the family. I just, it's almost like a different soul. It's like a completely different soul with a different energy and a different soul path, right? But I have seen those souls really integrate to help or guide or
right.
But what I feel like is, Thomas, you were definitely a Missouri Civil War era bushwhacker. I mean, that I feel completely 100% certain about that. And maybe you worked with this great uncle, or you know what I mean, or you were some brothers even. I'm just not sure you're the same soul. So it's kind of complicated. I'm going to try to read your question, but I don't know if I can understand it. Nicole says, I think I found a picture of me and my best friend and a picture from 1937, New London, Texas. The picture was taken right before the school explosion. Is it us? I think this is more of a psychic question than what Karen does. Is it's a very complicated and intense session. And that's how she gets her information. I don't, you think you found it?
Ask her.
I don't know.
Ask her if she doesn't like loud noises.
Yeah, I mean, there's other ways you could find that out, right? Like if you don't like loud noises, or you're always afraid that something's going to blow up, even though there's no reason for it to blow up, or you don't like being in confined spaces. This is how you would find out, like if you had a past life with a sinking ship, you know, you're like, I don't want to do cruise ships. I don't like to be on boats, right? And you don't have anything in this life to suggest that's a problem, then it's automatically because of a past life. I don't know if I can answer that, Nicole. I really can't. It's complicated. And it's like when Karen says sometimes the guides tell her we're not answering that, right? Like that's kind of what I'm getting for you. I just don't feel like I can say it's very complicated. The answer is very complicated, and I think it has to do with quantum time, and I don't think I can do that right now. Sorry, I wish I could. Usually I'm pretty good at stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, that's so cute. It's true. Grandma's Gone Crafty says, when my daughter was little, she used to say, remember when you were little and I was big?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, this is what we're talking about. Like she's remembering.
Yeah. My aunt, my niece, she came to me and she said, my daughter keeps saying my other mother, and my other mother did this, and my other.
Like, no,
yeah, that's a past life.
Yeah, it's complicated. It was a past life. I don't know if you can answer this question. In your experience, do you do a lot of work with soulmates? With relationships and soulmates?
Well, I think soulmates has been overused, first personally. um,
Yep.
what I call soulmate is someone who is spiritually connected, that you're
It's
kind of
very
on the same page spiritually. It doesn't have to be a husband, boyfriend. It usually isn't. It could be a friend or somebody that you feel really connected to. Because we have a soul family, you know, a soul group. So, soulmate, I think it's just, I don't know. I haven't met my soulmate in this life. So, we don't have to meet them all the time because I have a soul family. So, I just think it's overused personally. That's
So
me.
you're happily married and been happily married for a long
Long
time,
time.
and yet you didn't meet your soulmate, and it's okay. So I think that's what you're trying to say too, is don't live your life trying to find the twin flame or the soulmate or whatever it is, because it's really more about the lessons, honestly. And I think from my experience, you come into this life and you say, my lesson isn't going to be around my partnership
Relationship.
relationship. I'm good with that. Like I don't need to go there. And so you find a mate, you're pretty happy with them, or a series of mates, but your lesson might be around your coworkers or your work or whatever. Or your lesson might be around your actual partners and mates. And we're not talking about astrology right now, but you cannot rule out astrology, because astrology is very important in all of this. You know, I don't think you can just take numerology, astrology, psychic, mediumship, or quantum healing by itself. I really feel like it's a good idea to get a really good rounded vision of all of it, and it'll give you so much better understanding of the whole thing.
Yeah. I think the closest thing you can call soulmate is the president. No, I forgot his name. You
What?
know, the one that just died. Um,
Oh, Carter?
Carter and his wife. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think they were pretty much together spiritually, don't you?
Yeah, spiritually and every other way, right? Yeah. But not everybody's meant to have that. And
No.
you can be just as happy without it. I don't want people to get hung up on that, because I think it's kind of like the hallmark of spirituality, right? Where they say, "Oh, you'll meet your twin flame, you'll meet your soulmate." I could tell you that I had a karmic relationship once that was so weird, because I knew it was karmic because it was almost like an addiction. Like I couldn't break out of it. And I thought, this is otherworldly, right? Like this isn't normal. And you know, that was one of those kind of
Yeah.
things that was supposed to teach me that lesson.
Yeah. I've had a few people that are so obsessed about this other person that this is their soulmate and they have to be with them and everything. And sometimes it's hard for them to even break away, even when I do this
They
work.
can't. I've
It's
seen it. They
hard.
can't,
Yeah.
and they can't be happy because they feel like
No.
that's the
Yeah.
one.
That's
That's
the
why I
idea.
keep trying to tell you, it's
It's
not,
not.
that's not it, you guys.
If it,
That's not how
if it,
it works.
no, no, it's, you will know, it will feel good. It won't feel bad. That's the best way to put it. It won't feel anxiety ridden, that kind of thing. It feels natural. That's the best way to put it. And sometimes we're supposed to be alone, and people have to understand that. That you might have chose a lifetime to do other things, and if you had a partner, maybe you wouldn't be doing what you should be doing, right?
Oh my God, that's so true too, right? That is so true. But it's so
Mhm.
hard,
Yeah,
because
it is fun.
society, our culture just
Hmm.
says
I
we should
know.
have things, right? And
Yeah. I was
so, yeah,
alone in most. I was alone in most of the lifetimes. I was alone a
really,
lot. Yeah,
really.
yeah,
Really? Wow. I just
yeah.
need to know in the worst possible way. I need to get to Baltimore and get a reading with you. Geez, I keep saying it every time. Um,
Well, wait till the weather's better.
oh yeah, no, I'm not a winter girl. I'd be driving like crazy up there. I'd be sliding. Oh no. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
you've had
Let's
weird weather.
Yeah, I guess everybody's having weird weather. Okay, coulda, woulda, shoulda says, "Hi, ladies, I have a question for you. Have either of you heard of a soul contract where someone helps animals or humans cross over?" Yes, of course. I mean,
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah,
that's,
I have a lot of, well, not a lot. I've had a few people who were in lifetimes and helping animals, and in this lifetime they're doing the same thing, or in one lifetime they saw all this terrible stuff going on with animals, and in this life they don't want it to happen, so they're taking care of them, or else they were cruel to animals too. In this lifetime they're making up for it.
they're making up for it. Like kind of a karmic balance.
Mhm.
You guys, she has, I'm sure you have a clock, right? That's dinging.
What do you mean,
You have
clock?
bells?
Hmm?
We're all hearing bells, and it's not coming from me. It's coming from you.
No, I don't have a bell.
You really don't have a clock with bells? I just assumed.
Oh, I have a clock, an antique
Yeah.
clock. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Antique clock. Right. That's what we're hearing. Yeah. Yeah. We're
you're
hearing it.
hearing it,
Okay.
but it didn't go
Yeah. We're
off.
hearing it loud and clear over here. Yeah. Chimes. Yeah. Okay.
But it didn't
Uh,
go off. I don't think so. I don't
we've
hear
been
it.
hearing it nonstop. Ding, 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 ding.
Oh
Kevin's
no,
cracking
no.
up.
It wouldn't.
We're all
It,
hearing it.
really?
Yes.
It's not going off. No. It might have went off at 8, but it's not going off.
You'll have to watch this video, Karen, because it's going off like for real.
Really? A
Yeah,
ding?
it's like ding, 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 ding,
Is
ding,
it?
ding,
I'm
ding.
sorry. I don't know how to
That's
get rid
okay
of.
if it's in this dimension. I mean, I don't know which dimension
Maybe
it's going off
it's my
in.
guides acting up. They do
Yeah.
funny things.
No, it's not happening right now, but it was happening like ding, 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 ding. And I've just been assuming that you have a antique clock that's dinging. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
But it's,
now, but it was just a few minutes ago. It was
oh,
going
okay.
off.
That might have been my antique clock. Okay.
I've heard it several times. I'm
Okay.
just gonna assume it's that.
Sorry.
Everybody's like,
I
we
thought you
heard it,
meant it
we
was
heard it.
constant. Okay.
No, no, no. Just every
Oh.
so often it's like ding, ding, ding. So like Christmas bells. It's really pretty.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a really pretty sound. Um, um, wow. Okay. So I had another question. Let's see, one or two more. Tell me, let's see what Bonnie's saying. I didn't read it. I have a psychic tell me that my granddaughter would have another baby boy, same soul of daughter she lost in 2023. Will she come back as a boy in 3 or 4 years? Do you have anything to say about that?
That does happen, but I don't, I'm not psychic that way. Not like I can't just.
But it has happened in your experience?
Yes, but not often. But I have had that,
So
and
when a baby,
I've had people tell me, because we talked before that somebody in their family died, and they all felt that the child born later was that the soul of that child. So they all felt that. I think if you feel it, then it's probably true. What do you say, Suze?
I think it's either true or again that it's so that it's
Uh-huh.
that it's almost like that other soul is really, really trying to come through to give you comfort. It's all about the humans, right? So the other soul can express through that baby so that, oh my God, it's my baby, come back. And then the human feels comforted. I don't know if it's 100%, but I definitely think the soul does express through there.
And I want to tell people that have lost children, which I know it's the hardest thing. I have 2 boys, but their soul goes on, okay, and they don't want you to grieve for them. They want you to remember the good times, and they want you to be happy and not feel guilty, um, because
Yes.
that's not helpful for you. They want you to be happy.
You have to
Uh,
live your life. You're still in the game. If you want to think about it as a game, they're
mhm.
out of the game. You're still in the game. So you still got to do your thing. and express your soul and express your soul's journey. And it's very important that you don't give up on your life. It's very important.
Right. And especially if you've had an abortion. I've had people. So the soul wasn't, that the contract wasn't made. The soul wasn't supposed to come.
Right. I think we both agree on this, that the animus or the life comes in when the baby takes the breath. Is that what you think or no?
Well, I've done what you call age regression sometimes with people. And most of the time it comes in later. Yeah.
I mean, the baby, the soul can visit the baby.
Yeah.
But
and it can come in and out. Right.
Yeah. Souls are not going to stick around like if you're in a coma, your soul is out. If you've got Alzheimer's, your soul is out. So the soul can come in and out, no problem. But I don't feel like the soul takes complete control of that until the animus, until it's viable. Until it's viable. Let's put it that way. Because I think you look at even those little ultrasounds. Have you ever seen the picture of the ultrasound and the picture of the baby, and you're like, oh my God, that's the baby. Like that is the baby, right?
Right.
So it is interesting. But you're saying abortions are, the soul just goes off and either waits or goes and finds another baby mama or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it might have chosen not to come for a lesson for the mother, whatever that might be, or the family.
Yes. All of it is fodder for the education.
It's all, there's a reason for it. It's not,
Zinnia says, are more people having futuristic experiences instead of past life experiences?
I've only had one person ask me to go to a future life. I think,
really?
I think we have free will. So what could happen? It could change, couldn't it?
So you're saying when you go into the future life, it's like a potential future life.
A possibility, yeah.
It's a possibility. But you said sometimes in past lives, they're preparing for future lives.
That's what they'll tell me sometimes. That doesn't happen often, but I've had a few. Yeah. Do you ever see the future of your lifetime?
My guides, right. So the guides would be very careful about showing me things. Like they'll sometimes show me potentials.
Okay.
But they don't, they'll say if you choose or you have the potential to do this. But even that can freak a human out, right? Because like for me, I'm an introvert, right? And when I first started having my psychic awakening, I had other psychics going, you're going to be on TV and you're going to be, and I'm like, the hell I am. The hell I am going to be on. So I went in resistance. They don't need a human going into resistance against their own soul path. So they don't tell us our soul path. It's like when they always tell me this. If you have a 3-year-old and you need to get him in the car seat, you know what I mean? You want him to get in the car seat without fighting you. Or why do I need to be in the car seat? I don't want to get in the car. You don't want to ask questions. You don't want nobody asking no questions. You want them to just get in the car seat while they're doing something. And before they know it, they're in the car seat. That's what they're doing to us. They're just guiding us along, and we don't know what we're about to do, because if we did, we'd be like, no, right? Or maybe we would say yes and get so fixated on the outcome that when the plans changed, now we're mad. So it's better when it comes to our soul contract, it's better for us just to be guided. And not know so much. And surrender. Surrender is the big deal. If you just surrender.
That's what I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't surrender to a lot of stuff. And the book wouldn't have been here. So, and I know sometimes it's hard, but I think it's the best way, really. I do. Hmm. Because that's really your soul path. Yeah.
I mean, I can't, Patty, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. As a photographer, I worked in Shriners Burns Institute as a photographer. And so I know what that's like, for people to be burned. And I wouldn't say that this is exactly the reason, but I mean, it could be one of the reasons, but one of the
Mhm.
other reasons it could be that you wanted, to experience life, like this, you know what I mean? As opposed to like I am, where I don't have that situation. Does that make sense? What would you say about this, Karen?
Well, there could be different scenarios again. It could be that you need to work more on the inner self rather than the outer. Um, or it could be that it will give you more compassion for people who are different.
That's true too. That's true
Because,
too.
you know, because I know when I was a young girl, I have scoliosis and I wore a brace that had like a thing here in a bar, and people would make
Wow.
fun of me. And yeah, because I was a teenager,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, so it gave me compassion, for those people that didn't look like the beautiful young girls, that were in school or whatever.
And they
So,
could also do cheer. You were also physically limited, not
oh
only,
yeah, yeah, I had to sleep in it and everything. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But people can be cruel. I understand that. But then you have to be better than that and understand they're still at a lower vibration.
Yeah, she says she definitely has empathy for those who are different. I feel like patty cakes, when I go into your energy, you're a warrior for the underdog, that you
Mhm.
really you've got this mama bear energy of, protection of those less fortunate, is what
Awesome.
I'm getting, in whatever way that is, right? Like, even if it's not a physical, it could be just a kid that's not loved. That's the kind of stuff that gets your blood boiling, right? People that are just not treated right. You're in Aries, right. I feel like, I mean, just psychically, I also feel like you're a higher vibrating soul, because um not everybody could have had experienced that and have your ability to have that kind of higher level understanding of it. Okay,
Mhm.
so that could have happened to somebody else, and they could be in prison right now because they took their rage out on everybody. So you also have traversed this lesson to a higher level, which is quite admirable.
Yeah. Because you can't blame it on your circumstances, your family, whatever. Um, it's the soul thing. Yeah. Because you could have the same family and have totally different paths. Right.
Interesting. Well, I'm sorry it happened to you. No,
Yeah.
regardless, it sucks. I'm just
Yeah.
going to say right now, it sucks. And it shouldn't be allowed. And I'm going to talk to them for you when I get over there. That's what I'm talking about. I'm the union representative for humans. That's what I am. I'm like, I got some beefs about what's happening right now on planet Earth. Somebody's going to have to listen to me. And they're like, sit down, young lady. I'm like, okay. Um, but you know what? I don't have, well, I don't know where the Aries is in me, but it feels like it wants to come out wherever it is. Somebody was just asking, can a cat be in our soul family? And I can't find the question, but I'll just ask the question. Can a cat or a dog or a bird be in your human soul family?
Well, because yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I do too.
I mean, because you're so connected to them. It's interesting because I don't know. I think John Edwards, the one that talks people who died, he said it never fails. They talk about their animals and they cry more than they cry about humans.
That's
They're
true. No, it's true. It's kind of true. But our animals are unconditional. They love you
right,
unconditionally, right?
right,
Like they're
yeah.
like they just love you, and your loved ones are like,
Yep.
"What's for dinner?" You're like, golly,
Yeah, and they show us unconditional. They show us what unconditional love is. They're their
yeah,
angels.
that's their
That's
thing, right? Yeah, yeah. Um, let's see, one or two more. I have powerful dreams that take me to different lifetimes. Can we do our own readings? Is this normal? Well, I mean, let's just strike normal. None of us is normal here. There is no normal. But I get what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
what do you think?
Well, yeah, a lot of people have dreams about past lives. Yes. Uh-huh. Or they go to wherever they go, it's fine. Yeah. Um, yeah, people will say, "You'll think this is weird." They'll tell me, and I'm like, not in my world. Look what I do. It's like
I know people are like used to say to me, "I bet you've never heard this before." I'm like, "Try me, just try me." I bet I have. You just you'd be surprised, and you have even wilder experiences than I did. So I
well, a
would
lot of
never.
people are afraid to tell me they believe they were ETs,
Yeah,
and now they feel like they can talk to me, and I'm not judgmental. I don't judge. It's not my job.
that's why you're good at what you do. You're just like the witnesser, like you're the
Yeah,
facilitator and you witness,
facilitator.
and that's it.
Yeah, but I'm with you too. I mean, energetically, I'm with you, and with the healings too.
Are you exhausted when I mean, that's 5 hours, right? Like that's got to be a lot.
Well, I when I did the radio, the 98 Rock thing in Baltimore, and I had all these clients come, I did 5 days, and I was exhausted. So I know I can only do 3 days a week at the most. Yeah, especially quantum healing, the ones. Yeah, I'm usually tired. I have to kind of zone out afterwards. I don't know about you. Do you kind of zone out too?
Yeah, I have to zone out. I have to
Yeah,
zone out.
because people don't understand. Well, first of all, I have to think of the questions. I'm constantly thinking, and I'm with you energetically. It is kind of draining, but it's exhilarating at the same time. So it's hard to explain because I love what I
You're,
do.
you're holding space. Basically,
Yeah.
if you want to think about holding energetically an open door, like
Mhm.
she's holding the door open for you to be able to traverse all of these realms, right? And then
Mhm.
when it's done, she closes the door. But while it's open, she's got to, keep it open. So that does, yeah, that
Yeah,
does
and
take some energy.
I'm an empath too, but probably not as strong as you or some other people. Some people are so strong they can't go in a hospital or
It's
things like.
debilitating. It
Yeah.
can be debilitating.
So
Yeah,
I
one a
had to
day.
learn to say I can't take on people's stuff. But
You had to
sometimes it
learn
is
how
tough
to.
when it's really sad lifetimes or something. It is, but then I have to just back away and say that was that life, and they're in this life now, and they'll be fine. They're fine, and that's what I
This
have to
is
say to people. You can't hold on to the past life. That was an experience that you needed to learn from, so learn from it and let go, but it's still up to you to learn from it. I can't do that for you.
right.
It's just like the information you give them. It's what they do with it, right?
Right. It's 100% what you do with it. And it's really a professional distance. It's sort of like a doctor or a nurse,
Mhm.
if you were caught up in their pain, you're not going to be able to treat them. So you really
Mhm.
have to have this professional distance, which
Mhm.
I'm pretty good at. Every once in a while, it comes in, but for the
Mhm.
most part, I'm pretty good at it. Because otherwise, you're not able to facilitate anything once
No.
you're involved in the emotions.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So she does 3 a week, so 1 a day, 3 days a week. You guys. Again, she does this in person. So if you're interested, her information is down in the notes of this video. It's in North Baltimore, so the whole Eastern Seaboard. But she does it in person. So you'd have to come to her and get that done. But you can go to her website. It's all down below as well.
Yeah, I think it's important to do one-on-one with this. And I asked a couple of clients, and they said they wouldn't want to do it over the internet. They said no. They
So
agree
we've
with me.
we've talked about this. So I'm not going to
Mhm.
be judging anybody, but I'm just saying some practitioners have sort of broken away from Dolores Cannon's, the way that she has, certified it, let's just say, or created it. And some practitioners want to do this online. And what Karen says, and I agree, is that if I'm here and she's there and she's facilitating me and something happens to me, she can't help me, right? She's not in the room with me. She can't facilitate helping me if I'm panicking, if I'm, you know what I mean? Like it's just raises some issues that might be real issues, but people do it, and it's up to you what you want to do. This is why she doesn't do it that way.
And also the internet could go out.
The internet could go off, and then
you will eventually come out, but still you're not going to be finished with it, you know?
You're not going to be finished. And yeah, I don't know. It's just people, this is just why she does it the way she does it. And this is Dolores Cannon channeled this. I mean, this is something that was given to her. This whole technique was something that was given to her. Let's see if we can do one more. You got one more in you. We're an hour and 25 minutes. We're really over. No, it's not you. It's me. I'm the one that's going on. I can talk to you all night.
Well, I'm fine. I'm fine. I have nowhere to go.
Let's see. Warrior Widow says, I've had 2 people do Akashic Records readings, and both were shocked that I was there with them. Do you know what that means? I don't know what you mean when you say shocked that you were there with them. Oh, I see. In the room. Like you were like looking over their shoulder at the book, and they're like, hey, lady, how did you get here? Is that what you're saying to me? Is that, Karen, what you're getting?
Wait a minute. They were both shocked that I was there with them.
Okay, she said right. She when the person opened the records, her, higher self or whatever, she was there with them.
Oh, so not the people doing the reading. She was there. Yeah, because
she was there with the person doing the reading in the Akashic Records.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've had that happen where, I can sometimes see what's going on with the person or feel it. But I don't tell them because it's their experience. So they need to tell me. Or sometimes
so you're doing it different. Okay, let me make that distinction. So Warrior Widow, what happened to you was you went to an Akashic Records reader, and the Akashic Records reader went into the Akashic Records and then was going to report back to you what they found. But when they went to the Akashic Records, you were there. Now with Karen, she does it differently. She helps you go to the Akashic Records, and she's just like assisting you. So she does it very differently than an Akashic Records reader does. This is a whole different ball game, what Karen does. Because in her situation, you're under hypnosis. You're very deep in hypnosis, and she's suggesting that you do these things. So then I would just say that for you, Warrior Widow, you've got abilities. I mean, if you're in there with the people reading your Akashic Records, then you can kind of just cut out the middleman, if you know what I'm saying. but why you have to do that, in my opinion, for me to read my Akashic Records, it's getting different. Everything's being different. But sometimes I put myself in a trance, like a meditative trance. And then from there, I ask those questions of my higher self. So I could kind of do it myself, but I don't think I'm the usual person. And I don't think I'm that deep. I'm not nearly as deep as what Karen takes people.
And I've done group regressions, and I do classes for Akashic Record readings. And it's amazing. Even in groups, they go to the Akashic Records.
Oh, nice. Okay. So you do it that way too. Okay.
I can do specific Akashic Records too. Yeah. I do all kinds of spiritual, but I mostly do, quantum and past life and life between life.
Wow. It's also fascinating. Really fascinating. This is more of a psychic question. Dad and Grace Kelly were childhood friends. Did they have a past life connection? I mean, that would be something that she would have to find out by putting your dad in a quantum healing hypnosis,
Or just a past life too.
or the past life, right? The past life regression, right? So, I feel like they did. I feel like they did have a past life. But so the other thing that's fascinating about soul families, so maybe we should talk about soul families or soul groups for a minute. So what I understand, and please correct me, is we have a group of souls. We call them people, but they're really souls. And that group is like our study group, right? So I might, this soul might be my dad in one life and my son in another life and my wife in another life. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, but we can change those soul groups as we evolve, and they do not. Okay.
Right. So then
And
you
if
can
they
move out
evolve
of the
with
soul
us,
group. That's
right.
right. Yes. So
But as they,
you've done all the permutations and you're kind of getting it. It's just like school, you guys.
yeah,
Sometimes you skip a grade, right?
yeah, right.
Sometimes you just skip a grade.
And there are what I call your friends soul group and your family soul group. And then there can be another soul group, maybe your spiritual soul group people. There's different soul groups. And then, of course, there's the whole soul group of all of us. So the major one. And sometimes we can stay with the soul group and kind of help them and not go to the higher soul group. Do you see what I'm saying? So, because sometimes we come as teachers as well. People come, I've had many teachers come.
When you say teachers, you mean like higher level souls that are here. And that's fascinating too, because even though they're a higher level soul and they're here to teach, what was their profession like? Was their profession like counselor or doctor, or were they, do you
It could be
recall?
anything. It could be, you could be more individual, like everybody wants to change the world, they tell me. And I said, well, you can change somebody. If you change one life, that's wonderful, So you don't have to change the whole world, but there are people that are supposed to do that too. So it's up to the individual soul, what their lesson, what they want to teach. And as they're teaching, they're probably learning too, as well.
For sure, 100%. So even though you're this higher vibrating soul and you're a teacher, you could come down here and be a person that works in a mechanic shop.
Right. Because I've had very high levels teacher souls in low level jobs, but
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not about, it's a different thing.
No. Well, there was, I think it was Destiny of the Souls or one of those Michael Newton's, where the one soul went before the council, and the council because they show you what you did, and they were really proud of him because he talked to this woman on the bus, and the soul said, I've done so much more than that. And they go, but you changed this woman's life. So this one woman, that was the most important thing you did. So do you see it just that one person, that one
it's
soul?
Just that one person. It really is, you guys. And when you cross over and you have that life review, it's not like you said, like, oh, I probably am going to get to see that I did this big thing. But no, it was just this one person that you smiled at. And you don't know how that affects that one person. Right. You just don't know. That one person could have been really getting ready, suicidal or something. And something just like your little energy connection made their day or made them decide to quit that terrible job or to get asked for the rate. You just never know. You never know.
You never know.
Here's a question. Have you ever had a person who you weren't able to hypnotize deep enough to get the work done?
Yes. Usually it's someone that's blocking the information. And a lot of times they'll tell me I'm blocking. Sometimes it's if you're truly analytical, you're analyzing, and then the conscious mind is just constantly going, analyzing, blocking it. Or fear. But I really don't have too much fear. I think it's mainly blocking or analytical. But it's more rare. Let's put it that way. But I have had people. Or if you come in and say, I can't be hypnotized.
You might as well just leave now, because you've already set the suggestion that you can't do it. That's why I tell people, if you're going around saying, I'll never have money, I'll never find love, then the answer is yes. You're never going to get those things. You're already telling the universe, right, no, I don't want it. So please be careful about saying.
Yeah, because I have people that say, I don't think I can be hypnotized, or I haven't been hypnotized before, and I never, I didn't go. And I'm like, well, things could change, And I said, why do you think? And then I'll go into why. And usually they are okay. Mm. So don't have fear about it. That's the main thing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is the first time that Lana's heard of Akashic Records. Would you describe the Akashic Records, kind of, sort of?
Okay, it's everything that has ever been done or thought or is going to be done. Let's put it that way.
Oh, the future too.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And some people call it a library with books or scrolls. Most of the time, people, when I take them, they see books and then they open to the page where you need to look at the book. And sometimes the information isn't given. They just see the book and know that they have the Akashic Records. I don't know why, but that's what. And there's usually a keeper of the records that looks almost like a Merlin most of the time. I did have one with a woman, so I was happy for that. So it's our symbol, but it's an etheric thing, and it's almost like a computer of everything that's ever happened in this universe and all universes, right?
In all universes. Nice.
And usually psychics can access that, and we all can access it, but again, we have to be ready for it. It's just like we're all psychic, but some of us are practiced more, or this is their purpose in this life. So to be psychic. Because some people are psychic and don't use it, right?
Absolutely. Well, what's interesting is I could always see ghosts, even as a child. And when I opened my business, I just thought, I'm a medium. My website is susanlynnmedium.com. I didn't know I was a psychic until I started doing mediumship readings. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I was mad. I was like, you mean I've been psychic my whole life and I didn't know it? So I would tell you guys that your only way you're going to know this stuff is to try it. You could be crazy psychic and never know. If you don't try it, you don't know. So try it out. Test it out. Super
important. If you see dead people, number one, because I had somebody that didn't know they were psychic and they saw their dead grandmother. And I said, do you realize you're psychic? And
you're automatically psychic if you're a medium. No one told me that.
And she's like,
it's a 2-for-1.
Sees a dead grandmother on the bed, or else they can predict things in their dreams. I mean, I've had all kinds of predictions, or just have a clairaudience like me. So, yeah. Well, I didn't really know what I was psychic for a long time either.
Exactly.
Because I just thought everybody did it.
Yes. Right. Or you think everybody does this, and then you start realizing, wait a minute, you mean you don't see this or know this?
Or you don't hear this sometimes, I'm not like you. I don't get it all the time. It just comes when it's supposed to.
Well,
Is that what
good.
It is? That's good.
That's it. It just comes. The thing is, for yourself, it's really hard to read yourself, right? So if you were in a situation where if somebody said, tell me about myself, it would come all the time for you.
Really? No, I don't know.
Yes.
You think so?
I bet it would. I bet $100 it would. I bet you it sure would. You just don't know. When you're trying to read yourself, it's ridiculous because your ego's in the
Right.
way, your culture, your life, your thinking. So that's why you don't know you're psychic. But when I started reading other people, I was like, I'm really psychic. I had no idea, right? Because I never did it, never tried it. So this person has had a weird, I'm sorry, were you going to say something?
No, okay.
Camilla says, I had a hypnosis appointment where I tried to read my akashic records, but a dinosaur-like creature kept me from reading it. What was that about?
Okay, what does a dinosaur mean to you?
Oh, here we go.
Is it scary or not?
A dinosaur-like creature. If you're still here, tell us what that means to you. Like, and how did you feel about it? Was it like stubborn, like stop doing that, or was it fearful for you?
Yeah.
And why does that matter?
Yeah, it could be fear, or it could be, you're not ready for it.
Are you saying she created the creature?
Oh. Oh, yeah. No, because she's in hypnosis.
Right.
So she's seeing it, I would assume.
But why? She said it was not afraid, but annoying. That's what I got from her, was it's annoying.
Why was it annoying?
Obviously you weren't supposed to see it, but I think it's interesting that it was a dinosaur-like creature.
Yeah, me too.
To me, that's the interesting thing about it.
Yeah,
he was definitely blocking you. Was it a dragon? Would you say it was like a dragon? Because I'm feeling like it was a dragon.
Well, dragon's very spiritual.
I know. That's why I think it was a dragon. I think it was more dragon-esque, but maybe not. I don't know. But let me just ask you the question, Karen. So if I'm looking at my akashic records and an entity shows up and says, no, you can't see that, a reptilian. Okay, so more like a reptilian, maybe alien. So that's not something I conjured. That is something that's in that realm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've had people that see the book or the scroll, whatever they see, and there's nothing on the page.
Right.
And I'll tell them to turn, pages and things like that, just to make sure.
Blank,
and
because
it's blank,
they can't. They're not allowed to see it.
They're not allowed. Or else the keeper might say, no, you can't come here. I've had that happen.
Oof. Yeah. I agree that I can get behind reptilian more than a dinosaur. So to me, reptilian means like an alien, like a species. That makes more sense to me. That
does
makes
she
a lot
feel like
of sense.
She's had a reptilian life?
Oh, that's a really good point. Wait a minute.
And she's not
if
ready.
You're still here, did you have a reptilian? So she didn't get to see her akashic records at all. Why would they be hiding that? But you said sometimes that happens.
Maybe she's not ready for that information. A lot of people don't want to know
Let me ask you, Camilla, how do you feel about aliens in general? Because this is my litmus test. Okay, you had a past life with Jesus. My mission seems to be passing along the energy that shifts you. Okay, great. Do you have any kind of feelings about aliens? Do you feel good about them, disinterested, or scared? That's what I ask everybody.
Is this the same girl?
Yeah, same one. Yep.
And she had a past life with Jesus? Okay. Did she go to that lifetime in hypnosis with the dragon thing? Was that
Did
the
you go?
same station?
Did you go to that? Did you go? Did you hear her? Did you go? Did you have that
At the same,
lifetime?
yeah. But that, it's kind of interesting. Was that a different time? Or did she have just a memory?
Right. Was Jesus one time and then the
Yeah.
alien or the reptilian a different time? Might be too hard to explain. Okay,
Yeah.
you had a dream once where the ships were over us and it freaked me out. There, I rest my case, Your Honor. Okay, here's what this, I'm telling you, I can tell you guys 3 questions and I know immediately what's going down. So the reason you were blocked, in my opinion, from the akashic records by the reptilian looking thing was because you were about to find out a lot of your life or a lot of your past lives, or this particular situation was with aliens, and you're not ready for that because it still makes you feel fear in
Mm-hmm.
your chest, and therefore it's not time yet. That's
Yeah.
what I think. What do you think?
Yeah. Because a lot of times, like I said, they won't take you to where you're not ready for. Yeah. It's for your protection. And then when you are, it's like when I first started, I guess about 19 years ago, if you told me I would have people from other planets, I don't think I would be up to that. But it evolved, you know?
Right.
And you know, or if you would tell me I had trees that had lifetimes, you know. I've had
People that
fairies.
have a lifetime as a tree.
Yeah. So I didn't
Yeah.
tell you that story. That was interesting.
That's a great story. I think I have too. So
Yeah.
tell me that story. Tell us that story quickly.
Well, the tree, you know, we talked about the trees talking to each other and had a lifetime with trees. Okay. It was a great lifetime. So they cut, he said this
Wait, is
tree
this
was,
for you? Was this
huh?
your lifetime?
No,
Was
it
it?
was somebody
Oh, okay,
else's.
okay.
And so they said they cut the tree down. Okay. The client said they cut the tree down. And I said, was that the end of that life as a tree? He said, no. And I said, what happened? And he said, they made me into a banister. And I said, oh, what was that like? He said, it was wonderful because people were touching me.
Oh my God, what a beautiful story.
I
They cut
know.
the tree down and it wasn't the end. They made him into a banister and he loved it because people would run their hands down him. Oh my God, my mind is blown. You
I
didn't
know.
tell me
I
that
was like,
story.
and when the man came out of it, he said, that was so weird. It's like, he was freaked out too.
He was
Said,
freaked out to be the banister.
yeah, that it was a tree. And he said, I can't make this stuff up. And I'm like, no.
I love that so much. I love that so much
I do
because I
too.
hate trees being cut down, right? Like
Yeah,
I
I
really
know, I
love
do too.
trees.
But then if they're a table or something, people are putting food and touching it too,
Oh
you know?
my God, it's
Yeah,
part of the consciousness. It's part of
right.
the, oh my God, it makes so much sense. It's almost like, well, we're humans, dust to dust, right? We return back to the earth. It's the life cycle.
Well, we can be anything we want. Yeah, we have that choice. Just like we could be aliens, you know, we could be trees. We could be, I've had spirits of the woods and trees. I had a spirit taking care of the trees, the forest.
Nice. I love that. That's me. That's so good. Um, Kamala says they are scary, though I thought I would not be. I was told I have a mantid guide. I do too. I have a mantid. It's
Which,
interesting that you said mantid because I had a whole conversation with my spirit guides about that.
what is that?
Mantid, like when you look it up, I don't even know that it makes any sense, but to me it means like praying mantis. That's what it
Oh,
means to me. Yeah, it's mantis. It's a mantid is a
oh,
mantis.
I've had those.
And
I've
I
had a,
do too, right? I
I've
do
had
too.
I've had a praying mantis alien. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a little bit of stuff to work through with this.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you have a guide that's one, you're not really 100% ready for that. And it took me a long time to be okay with aliens. If you're afraid of aliens, I can almost say with confidence that you've been abducted by aliens when you were a kid, or protected by them or not, however your experience was. If you love aliens, then you might have had a good experience with aliens. If you don't care, you're like, I don't care, then you've had no experience with aliens. So I just put people in all three categories, and I can tell you if you're afraid of them, like if you're afraid of ghosts, I promise you've seen ghosts when you were a kid. It didn't go well, and you don't know how to process it, so you're blocking it. So when you go to somebody like Karen or something, you're going to be blocking that part of the akashic records. Like, I don't want to know until you work through it and you get to a point where you can be okay with it.
Yeah, I've had people who had alien lifetimes, and they've been abducted, kind of, but in a good way. They're happy.
I'm still working through the legal system with that. Like, I did have a breakthrough where one of the times I had a breakthrough, and this is why it's important to do this work, either with Karen or yourself or whatever. I had a breakthrough where one of the times I thought they were abducting me, they were protecting me. They actually protected me, but because they were so alien to me, right? Like, I thought they were trying to hurt me, but they were actually trying to help me. So this is all about healing, all of this, healing your past lives. This is so important work to do, because it just frees you in this life to move forward faster.
Right.
In my opinion. My
allergies are questions?
killing me. Let's do one more. We're on 2 hours. We're gonna cut it off here shortly. Okay. It depends on what you're into. It does, and what you've experienced and blocked, right? Like, so look at these past lives, guys, can really hinder or alter or even kind of mess up your current life. That's why it's important to kind of come to terms with it and be okay with it, and then release it. I don't know why, but this just keeps coming to me over and over again. So I'm going to mention, and you go to her website, there's a recording of her on a radio show in the beginning of your journey, where this DJ, she put this DJ, and this is in Baltimore, a big station. She put this DJ under, did the past life regression, and this guy was part of the wagon train going west. And, that situation was different. If you had somebody that was sick and it was going to hold the whole wagon train up, you got left behind. It was one person versus 100 people, right? Like, we're going to do what's best for 100 people. So this kid got left behind, ended up being her client. So she worked through that with him, where he was left behind by his family to die. Right? Do I have that right?
Yes, and
you
kept
can
saying,
listen to it. You can listen to it on her website. It's fascinating whole recording.
Yeah. And recently I talked to somebody about that. They listened to 98 Rock, and they listened to him, and she always said he had difficulty connecting with family. So in that life, so that's why they were shown that life, and he didn't remember anything. And I tell people that's rare, that you don't remember anything in a past life, but it has happened maybe 3 or 4 times for me, and that's just like 20 years. So that's a lot. That's not too many people. But I think Spirit shows him, because I got so many people that might not have come if they didn't, because he didn't remember.
So you're saying you did the whole thing, and then when he came out of it, he had no memory. And you're saying most people have some memory. Like, the guy that was the tree was like, that was so weird, right?
Yeah.
But he came out like had no memory whatsoever. So he had to listen to it, the recording.
Yep. It kind of freaked him out a little bit, I think. But then he went also into the spirit world and had this whole conversation with a woman that he was connected with. And he didn't even know about that. He didn't know about, that he could do that. So he has some psychic abilities, I would think, right?
Wow, that's pretty
He
cool.
had a whole conversation, a long conversation in the spirit world. Yeah.
With a woman that's physical in the physical now?
Yeah, that had died. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
she had died, and he was talking to her. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I've had people that were given information about somebody in their family and to give the message to that person or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice too, right? That's
Yeah.
nice too. I love that.
Yeah. So, and also on it, the one guy, Paul, he went into the quantum healing hypnosis. His voice changed too. So you could listen to that a little bit. The other one. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, Kevin, let's go to Baltimore. We're going to get a bus. We're going to get a and last time I did this, Karen's like, you realize that this takes 5 hours, right? If you bring 5 people, you're going to have to stay here for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do all your friends in one day. I'm like, oh, right. And then I started thinking, well, you know what? We'll all just hang out and party while all of us go through. And like, whenever one comes back, we'll be like, hey, what happened to you? You know what I mean? It'll be like a commune or a festival. It'll be a festival. It'll be really cool.
Yeah, a lot of people tell me, I'm going to talk to this person or that person. And, and I get a lot of referrals too. And so, yeah, I think it's interesting. But yeah, and any of the psychics on YouTube, free, I'm giving a gift of free sessions.
What? Oh, now you're really going to be busy. Okay, listen, I get first dibs. You're going to get booked up, and I'm not. This always happens. Like, I'm like, I can't even get in with the people I have on my channel because they're booked. I'm like, this is wrong. Like, okay, anyway. Oh, that's so sweet of you. No, you don't have to do it free for me. I just really want to get it done, and I keep putting it off. I'm going to do it.
I want to, because you've given a gift to so many
people. Just want to know what's going on. And I know I chat with my spirit guides all the time, but it's different, right? Like, again, they feed me what I can handle and what I need to know for my mission or whatever. And a lot of this, I don't know. To me, it just feels like it would be so helpful to know more, right?
Yeah. Or to get confirmation, because I tell people, confirmation, because a lot of people say, well, I knew a lot of this. And I said, yeah, but were you listening? It's on the recording.
No, you didn't. Were you listening? She did not. She did not just say that to them. Yeah, I know you heard it, but was you listening? Yeah, you're right, Denise. It's not a bad idea. I should put Baltimore on the Connected Power, and then she would really be busy, and then we would never. She would be retired after that, for sure. Yes, it's fascinating, and I think the thing that I didn't say that I want to say is that it is the healing part. The knowledge is one thing, but the releasing, think about it just feels like pressure that's, on us from whatever past lives or whatever. Just imagine releasing that.
And it's usually in the body.
That's why I'm saying, like it's in my body.
Even emotional, any emotional thing is manifest in the body. And it was interesting. My guides told me, I guess about 10, 15 years ago, I don't remember, it's been a long time, to use colors. And it was interesting. I read somewhere else that colors was really important in healing. So, all of a sudden I heard use colors, and I'm like, okay, I'll try. It's like,
so when you're in the session, you started using colors to
heal. Like I would say, where does it manifest in the body? What color is it? And it's not the chakra colors. It's their color. It's
not the chakra colors. Okay.
And then what color would you like it to be healed? And it works all the time.
That's a really good question, Kevin. Have you witnessed healing miracles? Like people come to you and they say, I have this, and then they leave you and they don't have it anymore?
Yeah, I had a girl that had came in with a mask before COVID because she had allergies. And I said, well, you can't wear a mask because you have to talk and it won't record. And so, so she took it off. So it was unresolved anger. And so once we released the anger, she was fine. But then she went to her doctor. Well, first of all, she called me and said it was fine. She went to her doctor and he told her she still has the allergies. And she called me all upset. So I said, listen to the recording as many times, and if not, come back and we'll work on it. She listened to it once and she said it's never come back.
So do you guys understand what just happened? So it was released. It was released from her cognitive mind.
Right.
She went to her doctor who said, no, you still have it. So he reintroduced it to her cognitive mind. She believed it. And then Karen said, listen to your recording. And then she released it. It's your mind. This is the amazing thing. The mind can heal us.
But see, once they come out of the session, they have to believe that they were healed. It's just like any healing, right?
You have to believe it.
You know, and sometimes I'll see the body move, like when they're working on it. And it's very interesting, the different things. I had some people breathe real heavy. I've had a lot of healings, but then sometimes no, or people don't get back to me sometimes. I usually try to get back to them, but some don't answer. So, you know, some do and some don't. So it's up to them. But again, healing, I always say heal thyself, because I think we can heal thyself.
I do too. That's why I want you guys to work on the limiting beliefs. Please stop saying no and never. We're never going to have it. I'm never going to be rich. I'm never going to be healthy. Please, please, please stop saying that and start saying, I feel like I can be. I feel like I'm getting better. You know, listen to Louise Hay. This is how she healed herself, right? She literally healed herself. Look at her Wikipedia. She said things like that. I feel better every day. This is what I had to do to myself, right? For me to be able to talk to my spirit guides, I had to stop being so negative, because my spirit guides love me unconditionally. And if I don't love myself unconditionally, we're like missing each other, right? Two ships crossing in the night. But when I raised my attitude up, my vibration up, then all of a sudden I was talking to my spirit guides. So it's work on that before you go get a session, and you'll have a much better session. You'll have a much better opportunity for healing and a much better opportunity to open the akashic records and to do all those things.
But I just want to say also, and in the book, Yeshua also says this, if healing isn't supposed to happen, it won't happen. If that was part of the contract, correct?
Right. Yeah. So you got to hear that too. It's hard to hear. It's hard to hear that. But if you chose to have a disability or an illness or whatever it was, that was part of the thing you came here to experience. Hard to hear, but true. And I think, but once I think you acknowledge that and you accept that, then you can go on your mission. Your mission was to have it, but why? So now you can express the why part, because I wanted to know what it was like, and I wanted to be a force for nature. I wanted to work with it, or whatever it is, right? It's really important stuff to do.
Or to teach someone something too. As a teacher, because I think children with cancer are great teachers.
Oh my God, yes.
You could see it in their
nurses, their parents, everybody, the people they meet, everybody. It's not, none of this is wasted. Spirit doesn't waste energy ever. It's all part of our learning. Yeah, it's not easy. Read the book, you guys. It's a hefty book, y'all, but it really has energy. It's called Awakened Memories of the Soul, 24 Past Lives with Jesus. It's in the description. You can see all my
and you don't have to read you don't have to read it all at once. Tell them that.
What I love about it is that I would just pick it up and read like this person's experience. And And so there are experiences, right? Like as she's doing the regressions, she recorded the regression, and then so it's a little bit like Journey of Souls in that way, like where you just open it up and you read this person's experiences. It is fascinating, you guys. It is 100% fascinating book.
Thank you.
Good job. You birthed this thing. You like had a 9-pound baby with this
Oh,
thing.
you don't know. I had to transcribe all those. You don't know how hard that is. And
I
trying
can't
to
even imagine. I
yeah.
can't imagine. And they kept telling her, "You're going to do it." You know what I mean? Like they were like, "No, you're going to do it."
And I said, okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's so many good things out there. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We went on for 2 hours. Thank you, Karen, for doing this. I just
Thank
love
you.
talking to you. Like I said, I could talk to you all night. Um,
Me too.
I could have had one with Jesus. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go get a reading, and I'll let y'all know as soon as the weather gets above, freezing there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thanks everybody. Y'all
Thanks
take
for the
good care of
question
yourselves.
and blessings to everybody.
Absolutely. Big blessings to you guys. Take care, everybody. We'll see you again soon.
All right.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.